Okay, I'm Mark Cunningham, and welcome to our 6th episode of Over-Caffeinated. If you haven't watched it before, our slogan is like the view, but not terrible. This is our first episode outside of the city of Nashville. You excited, Justin?
That's awesome.
We've done it all in Nashville, but it's because we have a very special guest here today. So we're joined by nationally renowned author, political commentator, journalist, and law professor at the University of Tennessee. And somehow you're not even the most impressive person in your own household seeing your wife's credentials. But we're very happy to have the instant pundit himself, Glenn Reynolds, with us. So thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
And we also have, as usual, our CEO, fresh back from San Diego. I don't see much of a tan on you, but
I use a lot of sunscreen and wear long sleeves. And today is actually my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
my wife and I both forgot. I got halfway here and remembered and texted her, and she's like, "Oh, thanks for reminding me too." So
that's a happy marriage.
It's a very happy marriage. Every day is an anniversary.
That's what I was going to say.
That's right.
So before we start, we're going to talk about beer. So this is the first time we've had this. It's a local Knoxville beer. It's called Elkhart Light Lager. So everyone take a swig and let's review it. Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep. I'll just spill it on you. That'll be easier. My bad. Okay, so what are your thoughts on it?
It's a nice light lager, very almost like a Pilsner, very clean, a hint of sweetness, maybe just a touch of apple to it.
Oh man, I think you have a new career choice here, beer reviewer. So what do you give it out of 10 if we're going 0 to 10 scale?
8.5.
8.5. Okay. What about you?
I'll give it an 8. I mean, I'm not a huge lager fan. I'm an IPA guy, and I've already been drinking some IPA, so I've blunted the taste a little bit, but it is good and crisp, and especially for a hot day.
It's 200 degrees in here too, so it feels great compared to that. So we're going to start talking about some of the topics at hand, and the first one we'll start with the light topic, gun violence, because obviously that's been in the news a lot recently. So we've heard people from both sides of the aisle. You talked a bit about red flag laws before we started. Let's talk about it, and this obviously is a problem. What is the solution? Is there a solution, and if so, what is it? So we'll start with you, Professor Reynolds. What do you think we should do? Should we pass additional laws? What's the solution to this?
Laws are political products that politicians produce to buy votes. Sometimes they solve a problem, but that's always secondary to their purpose. We have had, in fact, over the last 25 years, a really dramatic decline in the levels of crime in general and violence in general and gun violence in particular. And we've done that essentially in spite of various laws that have been passed and repealed and things like that. The assault weapons ban, for example, made no difference when it was passed and made no difference when it was repealed because it was, as weirdly even Joe Biden admitted, entirely cosmetic. So it's not likely that they're going to come out with any legal change. It's going to be can I call it a magic bullet in this context? For solving this problem. And that's not what it's all about anyway. It is all about political marketing, as always.
So you think it's literally just about getting votes? It doesn't actually do anything at all?
It's about getting votes and getting contributions and messaging more than anything else. And that's true with most of what politicians do, but it's certainly just as true here.
Okay, and then Justin, what do you think? I mean, and do you think that the person, we heard about these shooters, which is a big deal. Do you think their political background matters? I heard from everyone on the right how, I guess the person in Ohio was a big socialist, Bernie Sanders supporter. Obviously the person in El Paso was more of a kind of a white nationalist, Trump supporter. I mean, do you think this even matters? And what is your solution?
No, I mean, anybody that goes in and shoots and kills other people, they have a mental problem, and we need to address the mental problems in our country and not just blame the politics of the day or blame the president for tweeting too much. I mean, it's just stupid. I've owned a gun since I was 8 years old, and I've never once felt the need to go, use that gun in any violent way, as is the case for the vast majority of gun owners. And so I think it's just a scapegoat. And I think, as Glenn said, you have all this political posturing and maybe some laws get passed, but they really don't change anything. And eventually those laws get repealed, and that doesn't change anything. We should be talking about mental health issues and those things that actually do matter to our country and are causing a lot of problems beyond gun violence. But we're not, because it's more salacious to talk about banning guns and not banning guns.
And one of the problems you have is even when you have laws on the books, you have to rely on somebody to enforce them. And for example, I have an advanced copy of this book that's coming out by one of the parents of one of the victims in the Lakeland shooting at Marjorie Stone Douglas. And part of the point of the book is everybody knew this kid was a problem and nobody was willing to do anything about it, partly because the school didn't want to make its discipline numbers look bad by expelling somebody or having criminal charges filed against one of their students. They literally had like a numerical goal. They're trying to cook the books to keep it within that goal. So when that's the caliber, I hate to use that, but the caliber of people.
Magic bullet and caliber. You got all the puns in so far.
That's the caliber of people who are enforcing the laws. You really can't have much. And I'll just say, maybe we're going to get to the Jeffrey Epstein thing later, but these politicians, so the government can protect you. The government can't protect a guy who's under 24-hour guard in a highly secure prison, and they can't even maintain an audit trail of what happened to him afterward. So, yeah, they're really going to protect you.
Yeah, and if you want to see some hilarious conspiracy theories, just type in Jeffrey Epstein on Google. You will find some amazing things. I went down a rabbit hole the other day.
I hear it's John McCain who did it. After McCain,
after
McCain faked his own death.
I was going to say, I thought it was posthumous. Okay, that's smart. That makes sense that you mentioned it.
That's impressive.
So let's talk about, guns are a big topic, especially in the Democratic primary. We have seen 2 debates so far.
Have we?
Well, I've seen 2 debates. I wish I hadn't, but there's been 2 debates so far. And actually, the Vegas odds now have Elizabeth Warren as the favorite to win the Democratic nomination. She's still trailing Biden in the polls, but they have her as a favorite. So let me ask you, for the 2 debates, and if you've watched them, what candidates have surprised you so far, and are you surprised at how far left the mainstream Democrats have gone?
So what surprises me is, if you look at the polling of what actual Democratic voters believe, not sort of the activist crowd, the Twitter crowd, but the actual people who vote, they are much less left than all the Democratic nominees. And I look at that and I'm like, if I'm Joe Biden, and I'm running especially against, 23 now, and maybe 24 if Al Sharpton is talking about coming in now, that I say to myself, I can peel off plenty of people to win just by saying, I'm the adult, I don't believe this stuff, I'm not as far. But he's sort of just followed to the left, which I really don't get. But then nothing in politics seems to follow the old rules, so,
Now, what do you think, too? I mean, there is moderate candidates like John Delaney, people who are kind of 1% who are kind of saying this, but they're not getting any traction.
Well, nobody knows who they are. I mean, it's very different for Joe Biden to position himself that way. Say, I used to be vice president, I was senator for a long time, I'm the mainstream guy, I'm the one who's not kooky, I'm not going to, change things too much. In fact, I'm going to be the guy who's going to return us to normalcy after Trump. And you can't do that when you're out there with Marianne Williams. Actually, sometimes seems like one of the saner ones up there. So
I know.
It's scary.
Did you see the? I forget if it was the Onion or the Babylon Bee, where the headline said Marianne Williams can't believe she's on stage with all these crazy people.
That's awesome.
So I mean, now I will say, did you hear that Sharpton is talking about coming into the race?
Well, I heard it from you. No, that could be a big deal. So yeah,
I'm praying. I want Sharpton in just for full entertainment value. If you just tell me where to send the donation to encourage him, and I will.
The guy's a great salesman. Say what you want about him. He can sell himself. I don't know how he's still there, but
the 2% of the public.
That's right.
He could sell a great weight loss book too.
I know. God, I know he looks. I don't even know if he looks good. He looks too skinny to look good. He was a gigantic. Now he's like super thin.
Yeah, he's got that kind of Hollywood starlet lollipop build.
That's right. He's not jacked like this. By the way, the most jacked professor in America. I think there needs to be some kind of competition for that.
I'm not even close.
Oh, I guess I don't know enough professors. So let's talk about this, Justin. What do you think so far? I mean, what's been the thing that's kind of stuck out to you so far in this primary? And are you surprised that, there's been some people kind of rising, like Elizabeth Warren seemed kind of dead and she's risen, and Andrew Yang's kind of hanging in there. So what are your thoughts
Kamala
on
Harris is kind of out, and it's, they try to out-leftist each other. I think that the way they're going, Oprah should be their nominee because she's figured out how to give away all the free stuff that they claim that they want to give out. And so, that's what they're trying to do, is outdo each other in terms of how much free college, how much free health care, how much free things can we give people. And they're going to outbid each other to a losing nomination, because even if they get the nomination, they're not going to become president because they moved so far to the left.
So with a record-scratching sound, can I change and ask this question, since it's a libertarian crowd?
Sure.
What about the libertarian presidential race? You don't hear anything about that. And Bill Weld, of course, told us last time, I'm a libertarian for life. Now he's saying I might run as a Republican.
Yeah, I think he's going to run as a Republican. Yeah.
So he's out, and
which I think that the question was him being a libertarian generally was an argument.
It was always iffy, but so.
And there's talking about Justin Amash potentially running, right? Like that's right. Kind of the big news in those circles.
Now officially become an independent.
Yeah, he's an independent. So. Would somebody like that have a chance? Would they be able to get 4 or 5%? They probably couldn't win, but could they make it a dent in this election?
Is Gary Johnson going to try again, or is he out?
I feel like he'll always try until he dies.
John McAfee's threatening to run, but since I don't think he can come back into the country.
Yeah.
No, he's in hideout in West Tennessee now. Actually, I think he lives in Tennessee.
McAfee does?
Yeah.
Oh, I know he's tweeting a while from these remote islands saying they're going to come get me. That's some entertainment.
That's what he wants you to think.
He's smart. So before we go, who's going to win the Democratic primary? say right now you have to put money on it. It's really Biden and Warren are kind of the top, and then the other people behind. Who wins?
I mean, at the end of the day, they do default back and elect the old rich white guy, so it could be Biden. I think they changed this time. I think it's either Warren or Harris.
Warren or Harris, okay. What do you have, Professor Reynolds, for the winner?
I'm going to say Tulsi.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You think she's going to pass 1%, huh?
I think she's got the come behind potential. I think she looks good. She's taking 2 weeks off the campaign to go serve in the reserves. She has some positions that are a little more commonsensical sometimes, and she gets strange respect from people on the right sometimes. So I think she's underrated.
With the whole Kamala Harris thing, too, she made her look like a fool. I mean, with the criminal justice thing being a thing, she really attacked her where she was supposedly strongest and really took her. So, I mean, anything's possible, and she does have...
That was a kill shot. I mean,
oh, man, it was rough. And Kamala Harris went down about 10 points after that. I mean, she was kind of the threat to Biden. Now she's kind of fourth, back in the pack again. So we're going to move to the worst transition of all time to talk about fast food. Big news recently, Chick-fil-A passed In-N-Out as America's favorite fast food chain. So both of you, I'm not sure you eat much, but what is your favorite fast food chain and why? And you have to explain why. So you got to pitch it to America. What is your favorite fast food chain and why should they feel that way? So we're going to start with you.
I'm more of a Whataburger guy, to be honest.
Wow.
I mean, In-N-Out's okay. I find it, I get to California very often, so I try. It's okay. Chick-fil-A, like everything about Chick-fil-A appeals to me except the food.
Wow.
They handle their drive-through line better than anybody.
Clean,
everything. The service is good. Everybody's great. But honestly, I've just never been that crazy about Chick-fil-A. My favorite thing they had was a chicken salad sandwich, which they first ruined and then got rid of. So, Whataburger I love, and the spicy ketchup is just perfect.
That's like a libertarian stance on fast food. I feel like that's kind of the back of the pack. Like the people from Texas love it, though. I will say that.
4%.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
If I could get a Whataburger in Knoxville, I'd be happy.
Well, we'll see what we can do. Yeah. If we get 50,000 views, you don't know. Okay. So Justin, what about you? You got to pick one fast food chain.
So I did just go to In-N-Out. So I've had it more recently than Chick-fil-A when I was out in California. I don't like their fries though. Their fries are just not.
You don't like waffle fries, or?
No, I don't like the In-N-Out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They kind of taste like plastic. I would go with Chick-fil-A. It's amazing. The food is good. Their chicken sandwiches are always hot. They're always fresh. The fries are always crispy. It's so consistent, unlike any other fast food restaurant, where it really just depends on who's working that day and how much they smoke, how much pot they smoke. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you're going to get a consistent meal. And the line is always just like wrapped around the building, but it takes 12 minutes no matter what.
That's
you
true.
cannot go to a Chick-fil-A and not get your food in less than 10 minutes. It's amazing. 12 minutes.
I think you might get a Shake Shack. I know that we like that at the Beacon office. Shake Shack's pretty good too. Yeah. Okay, so let's move to college football. We're here in Knoxville. By the way, we're at Suttrie's High Gravity Tavern. We didn't mention where we're at yet. All this
well
beers in
done,
there.
Mike. We're
yes,
lose
I know. I'm sorry, Suttrie's. We apologize. This is a great bar. So you guys are both UT fans, unfortunately, but tell me your expectation for this season. Last year was bad, I'd say, bad to mediocre. And this year, you're kind of projected to be a little bit better, about 6.5 wins you're over under. Do you get over that? And what's kind of like one thing you're looking forward to seeing this season other than just watching football? So we'll start with you. You are a professor at the university.
You think I'm looking forward to watching football?
Well,
it's in your contract.
We're in a rebuilding phase. We're going to really work on establishing our kicking game this year. And then, I don't know.
The most important thing.
I mean, good luck. This is a team that's disappointed me so many times that I have to say I'm a little bit emotionally checked out. I hope they do well. I really wish them well. But I actually think the worst thing for Tennessee was winning the national championship.
Okay.
Because for as long as I can remember until 1998, that's all anybody wanted to do. And so then we won it, and then two things happened. I think for a lot of fans, it was kind of like, okay. And then the administration thought, well, now that we won a national championship, we can get away with murder. So they started jacking up ticket prices.
They almost did, yeah.
Demanding big contributions for alumni tickets, and they redid the stadium so it looks very corporate. And some of my friends who are just the most, deep orange Vol fans their whole lives were really put off by that and have never been as happy with it since. So
interesting. And we actually had them on our pork report for all the buyouts they've had for all the coaches they've hired too.
I think they led the nation in buyouts.
Led the nation in buyouts, and we have millions and millions of dollars. That should be under your salary. We want you to pay that much.
To be fair, I love my job, but for like $5 million, I could be persuaded to leave.
So what about you, Justin? So 6.5 wins. I mean, I know last year was tough. Do you think they can get above that this year?
I'm going on the under. So I always.
Oh wow!
I'd actually take the over on that, but I'm an optimist.
Yeah, I have been an optimist, and I've been beaten into a pessimist. I am excited though about booze in the stadium. I'll actually come to a game this year because I can drink and my sorrows away. As we watch us lose to all of those teams.
We've had a lot of seasons where that would have been.
Yeah.
So the highlight of Tennessee this year is booze in the stadium. Do you think that's
100%.
fair? Well, if they win 8 games, people are going to be happy, though, and hopefully they'll continue moving up.
Low expectations.
There you go. That's what I live by. So on topic of sports, there's a cool thing right now. The MLB, for the 3rd straight year, they have a thing where they're putting people's nicknames on the back of their jerseys instead of their actual last names. So for a week, they can say, oh, whatever your nickname is, put it on the back of your jersey. So I know you're both sports fans, and I'm going to give you a second to think about this, but what is the best nickname in sports? So it could be from your childhood, any athlete, their nickname. And I'll start while you think, but the Jazz French shot blocking center is named the Stifle Tower, which is a fun nickname. I think it's accurate.
He's a Utah Jazz fan from Philly.
Well,
so.
that makes sense. I think everyone gets that. Everyone loves the Jazz. But so you guys watch sports, whether it could be a coach, a player. What is the best nickname that you've ever heard? Do you have one?
It's probably not really the best, but it's a favorite because it goes back to my childhood. It was Carl Yastrzemski, the Big Yaz.
The Big Yaz, okay. And his grandson now is in the MLB. Did you see that? He actually broke his record for most home runs as a rookie. I saw that yesterday with the Giants.
My dad took me to the games at Fenway. I was a kid. We lived in Boston. He would take me to the games at Fenway, and that was in '67, the year they won the pennant.
Okay, well, there you go.
That was a good time.
The Big Yaz is good. It's simple, but to the point. What about you, Justin? You have one nickname that you really like?
Growing up, I was always a Braves fan, so Fred McGriff, the Crime Dog.
Oh, that's a Crime Dog's a great one.
Yeah,
That's right.
So that was a good one. I always he was consistent, unlike UT, and it's a cool nickname.
And a great guy too.
Yeah,
he was always in those weird infomercials with the weird baseball stuff, but he seemed like a great guy. So we had this weekly kind of thing where I rant about something that's bothered me, whether it's people hating on Nickelback.
You do that weekly? I thought it was daily.
Well, I do it daily. Yeah, that's right. On TV, I do it weekly. But right now, I usually talk about things that aren't really important, like people in traffic or people walking. But right now, I'm done. I think you probably both agree with this, with being called racist because you disagree with somebody. The idea that Nancy Pelosi was called racist because she asked people to stop tweeting, right? The idea of this whole thing about Baltimore, I don't get the racism there, it being rat infested, having gone there a million times, I don't understand the racism. And it's not to say that Trump doesn't say some things that are racially insensitive, but everything you say can't be racist because you disagree with it. And it's to the point where they're like Medicaid expansion, you're not for that, you're racist. And I'm done with this in the political discourse when you don't agree with somebody's policies. And it really, to me, it lessens the actual value of real racism. I don't know if you agree on that, but I'm just done hearing it.
The beautiful thing is we don't have to respond to these rants.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just talk about that. I'm done with it. It's like you go on Facebook and say that you're for lower taxes and you're racist somehow. And I don't understand it, but I guess it's the thing.
Well, it's just cheapening, and it cheapens actual racism. Right?
Which there still is. There still is this in America.
racist.
It's not like that's gone. But anytime you see that, it's just like, well, you said these a million things are racist. So even when Trump says something that's kind of racist, you say, well, we've heard this last 8 years, Mitt Romney's racist, so we're just done listening to you.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna get more fun topic here. We do this or that. So there's 4 things here. We're gonna ask you these questions. You have to pick one or the other and give a one-sentence description of why you choose that.
Okay.
So who would you rather hang out with? This goes back to your point earlier. Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang? You have to hang out with one, and why?
Oh, that's a tough call. I think Tulsi again because she was raised in a cult and I was raised by hippies, so I think we'd have some common ground.
There you go. How about you,
I'll
Justin?
go with Tulsi. She's easy on the eyes too.
Okay.
Andrew Yang's got some cool ideas actually.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good pairing actually.
Yeah. They both seem fun.
You picked it to make it hard.
That's right, exactly. And they asked,
Tulsi Gabbard or Al Sharpton, for example. I
think Al sounds like
Al Sharpton.
It's funny. They asked what their favorite curse word was, and Mayor Pete was like, "Oh, I shouldn't say that." And meanwhile, Andrew Yang comes in and says, "Oh, the F word," easily, and just says it on. I'm like, I respect that though. It makes him likable. Okay. What show do you like better, Everyone Loves Raymond or King of Queens? They're both at the same time. A good comedy pairing.
King of Queens. Ray Romano just really irritates me.
You don't like Ray Romano?
I hate Ray Romano. I find him totally irritating.
I cannot stand his voice. I hate that show. Big Bang Theory and Everybody Loves Raymond are the 2 worst shows ever made.
I love Big Bang.
Oh, what?
I hate
I didn't know people hated Ray Romano. That's the first time I thought. Is there a secret hating Ray Romano?
We have our own chat group.
Okay, yeah, it sounds good. Well, Brad Garrett's in that too. Let's not forget about him. So, what one would you pick? Which show do you like better?
No, I can't watch.
Just anything but Ray Romano.
Everything but Raymond.
These are the 2 people. Wow, these are the 2 people that nobody hates Ray Romano more than these 2. But okay, so very simple summer question. We're about to be in. Hot dogs or hamburgers? What do you go with?
Hamburgers. I love burgers. Smash burgers in particular.
Okay.
I'm a hamburger guy, although I had a hot dog not long ago. It was just super good. So it reminded me that there really is another side to that whole
There
thing.
is some, and brats maybe. If you're going to brats are
different.
Yeah, but I mean,
Actually,
barbecue, they have those.
it was a cheddar cheese stuffed
Johnsonville brat. Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Well, that's way better. Yeah, hot dogs are way less good than that. But so last one, you're going on a road trip. We've all been on road trips. Better snack: Funyuns or beef jerky?
Ooh, that's tough.
I don't think he likes either.
Well, if you said Slim Jim, it would have been easy.
Well, I'll count Slim Jim's as beef jerky.
Oh
though.
yeah,
I count. Okay,
absolutely.
because Slim Jim's is the number one.
That is my go-to road snack.
And they have those big ones too now.
I
You can
know.
get one. It's like a half mile
You're
long.
good to
Just-
Tucson
That's
with one of
right.
those.
That's right.
Can you do both? Like
Nope. You got to
one
pick
after
one.
the other.
Oh, I like them. Funyuns, Slim
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put it between the
It's a good
Funyun.
trade-off.
It's a Funyun.
A Funyun sandwich with beef jerky.
That sounds like you just invented something.
I'd probably go with a jerky though. I love Funyuns, but I probably eat more beef jerky than Funyuns.
Funyuns are better if you're driving. If you're not driving, if you're in the passenger seat, you can eat them.
That's
Beef
true.
jerky's easier to
And
eat if you're
not meeting
driving.
with people afterwards because you like. You know,
That's right. It's better than Cheetos. Though. Cheetos ruin everything. Your entire day's ruined if you have Cheetos. It tastes great though. So we're gonna go and we're gonna talk with you, Professor Reynolds. You have a new book that just came out. Was it about a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's called The Social Media Upheaval, and really what you're talking about is some of the downsides of social media. And I think you're talking about some of the positives as well. But I'm interested, what inspired you to write this book, first of all?
So it was a totally bizarre juxtaposition. I was actually reading something that has nothing to do with social media. It was a really good book by James Scott, who's at Yale, called Against the Grain, and it's about the very earliest cities when agriculture was new and cities were new. And you'd get these cities that would spring up with as many as 10,000 people. And from a libertarian standpoint, it's interesting because a lot of these places really didn't have a government or a state associated with them for the first several thousand years. But they would spring up and flourish for, but then they'd always collapse and depopulate because of diseases. And the reason was you were cramming together all these people and their animals and everything in a small space when people knew nothing about sanitation. They'd been living, on
Is
the
that San
fields
Francisco
and
you're talking about, or is that okay? Yeah.
The return of the primitive was not supposed to be a how-to guide.
Boot mats.
But anyway, as I read that, I just happened to see a tweet by Richard Fernandez basically saying that about social media, saying, everything seems to be crazier and maybe social media allow crazy ideas to spread and germinate in a fashion never before. And I was like, yeah, maybe so. Because what Scott says about these cities is he says their founders could have no idea about the disease vectors they were introducing because they didn't have any understanding about that stuff. And I think maybe sort of at the mental or ideational level, we're in the same place now. We've brought all these people together. We're doing the intellectual equivalent of sharing each other's toothbrush, but we have no idea what that means or will produce. And so, the little sort of breakout quote in the back of the book says, society seems to be getting crazier. Maybe it doesn't just seem to be getting crazier. Maybe it actually is getting crazier. And so that's essentially where I started out from in the book. And
So what do you? So I mean, you obviously did this, and you're very active on social media yourself. So what is?
Less so, but yeah.
Yeah. So what is your ultimate thing? Like, is it? Obviously, we know the benefits of it. If you had to say overall, is it a net positive or negative? Do you think it's arguable that it's a negative? We don't give anything away because we want people to buy the book. And you can buy it on Amazon, by the way. We
What
saw
is
it.
the last chapter?
makes a
in your
great
book say?
present for weddings, bar mitzvahs, wakes, whatever.
It's got a nice orange cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Go Vols.
That's
well, it's a mixed bag, and it also varies somewhat according to platforms. I mean, what I say, for example, is, if you go to a casino, you see, the fancy carpets and good-looking women with trays of drinks and all, and gambling seems kind of fancy, and that's kind of like Facebook or Instagram. Then you go out, out in the wilds of Nevada to one of these gas stations, and there's like 6 slot machines and some sort of wizened, sick-looking old people just mechanically pulling the lever like insects. That's Twitter.
Okay. So Twitter's the Reno of.
Oh, it's not even Reno.
Not even Silverthorne. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's so really you think that Twitter is the worst type of social media?
Well, like with Facebook, I mean, people argue on Facebook and stuff, but you are mostly dealing with people who are, at least sort of your friends.
Yeah,
and,
you make notes.
And you know other things about their life. You've probably seen pictures of their kids. They seem like humans to you. Twitter just strips all that away into just the bare clash of ids. So I think it's worse. I mean, all social media can be bad, but I think it's the worst. I think that social media in general, though, have a problem. And Jaron Lanier has written about this a lot. They're designed and literally programmed to produce what they call engagement, and that's done by trying to play with the emotions of the people using it And as Jaron Lanier says, the easiest emotions to amplify are the negative emotions. So the algorithms that promote them are literally designed to make you angrier and sadder and more afraid the more time you spend on there. And I think that's not good.
But I mean, that's news though, generally, right? It's, if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, that's always been the thing of news. So it's like they take the same ideas that work there and they just transform into social media.
But it's to a higher power.
Well, I mean, because you could stay on for 4 hours. It doesn't end. It doesn't end in 30 minutes.
Stops. I mean, so no, it's like that, but just much. And the interactive nature of it, I think, makes it worse. One of the things I got off Twitter, and partly as a result of the research I did on this book, and one of the things I found is just how much happier I am. And one of the things about social media is you get sucked in and involved and engaged, and suddenly the world's problems feel like your problems. And they're not. They're actually the world's problems. As my sister said about something else, she said, it's a tragedy, but it's not our tragedy. And when you're on Twitter, stuff feels like it's all part of your business and your life, and it makes it much more upsetting.
So
you're
again,
racist.
Yeah, exactly.
You're always racist.
So it's the upheaval of social media, and if there's one thing that you can kind of give, piece of advice you can give to people, because again, everyone here, I mean, we're sharing this on Facebook. I mean, everyone here uses Twitter. What's one piece of advice you give people who use it often for their job or just in their personal life to maybe cut back? Because you said you're a lot happier without it.
I don't. And I thought when I got off, honestly, I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll lose influence, and I wonder if I won't know what's going on as much and all. As far as I can tell, none of that's happened. People were like, oh, you'll lose traffic to your blog if you're not on Twitter. Nope, it's going up. I mean, be on it less, and if you are on it, just try not to take it personally. Just try to realize that it's really just a bunch of people on a screen, the vast majority of whom you don't know and will never meet and probably wouldn't like if you did. So don't, treat it like a video game rather than like actual social engagement, maybe.
Okay, well, that's fair. And I mean, honestly, you're one of the funniest people on social media, at least on Facebook. So I enjoy following you. He likes to talk about a lot of fun stuff. But buy the Upheaval of Social Media. It's
buy it.
Yep, on Amazon, and there's a lot of copies still available, it looks like. So you can buy 100 if you want to, right?
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, 100.
You'll sign every copy?
Well, I don't know if we'll sign it, but maybe one. But we appreciate you joining us, and thank you for joining us, Professor Reynolds. It was a pleasure having you as always. And
I've got a new best friend. We hate Everybody Loves Raymond and Twitter. This is amazing.
So from the Everybody Loves Raymond Hate Club, and Mark, it's good to see you, and we'll see you again. Our next episode is with Mayor Glenn Jacobs. We will be here September 17th, so we'll see you then.